Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Welcome to another episode of Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability, SVTAGS. Today I'm very honored to have with me two gentlemen who are tech geniuses in themselves. I have Drew Anderson.
Hi.
And I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Anurag Kumar, and CEO and Head of Technology for iTexico. Thank you for joining me, and it's just by luck that you happen to be here today. So before we get started on the company, tell me a little bit about yourselves, and I guess we'll start with you. Tell us about yourself, your background, maybe a little educational information, whatever you'd like to share.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to tell a little bit about some of the options the companies in Silicon Valley have. So my name is Anurag Kumar. I'm from Austin. Happen to be here because my son is going to Stanford next month, so it was kind of
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you. So I'm a computer engineer by training, by education. I have a bachelor's and master's in computer science, and I also have an MBA. And I started as a programmer in 1982, a long time ago.
And where did you get your degrees?
I got my undergrad degree from IIT Delhi in India, one of the top schools, and then I got my master's from Wayne State in Detroit and my MBA from Michigan State in Michigan. So I started working as a programmer a long time ago, 1982. Along the way, I worked at IBM, TCS, Dell.
Did you work at any car companies since you were in Michigan? Just off the top of my head.
GM was a client of ours when I was at IBM. So I was actually part of the GM account team in Troy, Michigan.
Nice.
So I kind of know, I've been to a couple of those.
I was saying you're there, so they had to put you in.
They did, and we went to a lot of these plants at Ford and all that. I've seen Mustang getting built. Kind of an interesting experience.
Awesome.
It is, and it was actually a very old plant. So they had an assembly line, not a very flat one, but it actually went 2 levels. It's I can't describe it. Normally you see assembly line as one. Here the assembly line was 1 level and 2 levels. So cars are going up and down, this way and this way.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just interesting. So anyway, so I started my career as a developer, worked for IBM, TCS and all that. And along the way I got this bug of entrepreneurship. So I started my first company when I was 25 in Michigan. Sold that off, did another one, and
you're only like 35 now, so it was just 10 years ago, right?
It is. I had a haircut yesterday. So while I was at IBM, I got transferred to Austin, Texas, 21 years ago, which is where I lived. And then around 99, 2000, the internet craze was happening, and I wanted to do something. I was almost getting to be around 40. So I started a venture funded startup, raised a lot of money, had a really good time, didn't go quite anywhere. I wasn't the only one in 2000, 2001. And September 2001 happened.
Oh yes, I remember the dot-com demise very well, working in San Francisco
I remember
at that time.
I was on the way to San Diego that day. And I was about to drive from my house to the airport, and my business partner called me. He says, Anurag, you're not going anywhere today. I said, what happened? He said, go look at the TV. So yeah, I remember that day I was in my driveway in my car. So anyway, I did another startup after that. So I'm on the 5th one. I sold a couple of them.
So you're a serial entrepreneur.
I call myself a serial developing entrepreneur.
Okay.
I'm still learning. One of these days, I'm going to figure it out, and I'll be on the show again. So iTexico is my 5th startup. We started around 5 years ago. And what happened actually was...
Well, and hold on one sec before we go there. I want to hear about Drew's background.
I'm sorry.
Really quick. No apologies. That's why I'm here directing you guys to what to say. I want to hear about your background. And now we've known each other for a long time, but what did you go to school for? And
well, actually, I was an English major. I went to school in Europe. I'm actually a native Bay Arean, though.
I did not know that you went to school in Europe. That's interesting.
Yeah, I spent 10 years there, and then I went to Cal State Northridge in LA and spent pretty much half my career with one leg in Silicon Valley and the other leg in Southern California or Hollywood.
And was it engineering? What did you go to Cal State Northridge?
Actually, no, I'm a self-taught engineer.
Okay.
I was an English major and found out that it was quite difficult to make a living as a writer. And also had the technology kind of streak I was born with. So I too am a serial entrepreneur and started my very first company in college while I was at Cal State. And that was in '79.
I was going to say about 10 years ago again too, right?
Yeah. Since then, I've done quite a few things. But I'm most importantly, I've been married for 32 years to my wonderful wife, Robin. We live here in the Bay Area. I have 4 wonderful children who have all grown up and moved on and are.
And a grandchild.
I am now a very, very happy grandparent with 3 wonderful new grandchildren in my life. And I am also too a developing serial entrepreneur like Anurag. And
well, and it's interesting, you're one of those special breed of people here in Silicon Valley that can talk the talk, but also walk the walk of tech. So you can understand, and it's funny because I've always from a young age been able to program things and figure things out, and I think it's because my dad was, he worked on cars and did construction, but that was his hobby. And so, it's different when you can find someone that can actually think mechanically or think engineer, but then also talk and be one of those marketing people that can talk about things.
I have to bring up my father here because he was one of the original engineers hired by David Packard in 1958. And I grew up in the HP way. My father has a book about it. It's called The Accidental Spy, if you ever want to look it up.
Well, that sounds like another TV show.
And we can talk about that.
I'm going to have them bring up the first slide because now we're going to talk about the iTexico. And here's the first slide. So this is about your company. Tell me about the slide a little bit where we're looking at it. It says the what, how, why. I can't really read that. I need new bifocals.
Okay. No, I can. And we'll talk about the concept behind iTexico, but at iTexico we provide digital and software solutions to companies here in US. So we provide, we help them expand the brand by providing services.
So the slide here, what, how, why.
Yeah, so what is we expand a brand, we help companies expand the brand, take their products to market, take it to broader markets. We help them enter new markets, not just US, but also global markets.
You can just tell. We're going to pull that slide down, so we're just going to talk about it. So, so global markets and
global markets, we help them take the products to market faster at lower cost, and we do that by giving them access to teams in US and we call them nearshore teams in Mexico. So that gives them scale, that gives them cost effectiveness, and that gives them access to talent, bilingual talent, which they may not have here. And then the value prop is, we provide them capacity on demand, we provide them additional capability, we provide them a cost-effective way of taking the solution to the market, all in a way that they can collaborate with the teams as if the teams are local teams.
And okay, so you said you had 5 companies you started. So why did you start this one? What was the spark that got you to start this one?
I was about to describe that. So I was actually, after my 4th company, which I sold, I became CEO of a company in India. It was a services company with teams in India. And I was traveling these far distances to manage it, working odd time zones, 12 hours away, missing deadlines for my customers because these are long days. You're working days and you're working nights because of the time zone. And I started thinking there must be a better way of providing services. I happened to meet my current partner, Guillermo Ortega. He's from Mexico, and he invited me to this city called Guadalajara. I didn't even know how to spell it. I had no idea where it is. But I went down there. And I'm a curious guy. I love travel. So I went down to the place, Guadalajara, Mexico. And suddenly I realized that there is an option which is probably a lot of people don't know about. You can have teams in Mexico, teams in US, work with customers in US in the same time zone, in close proximity, eliminating or reducing a lot of challenges you have when your teams are far away. And having a lot of experience with teams in India, it just made a lot of sense. And we started that company in 2011.
And so that brings to the next question, the difference between offshoring and nearshoring. And I'm going to bring up the next slide too.
Sure.
And I was a little confused about it at first. So here's nearshoring, and it talks about offshore, nearshore plus. Tell us a little bit about it.
I will. So I'll give you the the Wikipedia definition of nearshore, right? So outsourcing, the nearshoring is outsourcing of business processes, specifically in IT or software development, to companies in which are nearby, sharing a border, such that the arrangement is mutually beneficial, right? And you take advantage of, I'm going to read this from here, take advantage of time zone alignment, proximity, cultural alignment, economic and political dependencies, history, linkages, and of course the cost. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship between companies in countries which share a border. So that's nearshoring. Of course, there is no shore between US and Mexico.
So Mexico and Canada are really the two.
Those are the two countries which they qualify as nearshore. They share a border, and we will talk about Mexico, Canada, US. I don't know if some of you watched the TV last night. I have my views about that. Hopefully, we'll get some time to talk about that.
We'll talk about that. Let's pull up another slide too, because I think the next one still has to do with. So this is your talent, and where this is going to come up later. So we've got several photos of your talent. This is just part of the team. Like, we can pull that down. So why Mexico first then? So you met your friend there, and
I met the friend. Guadalajara turns out to be the Silicon Valley of Mexico. A lot of talent. So it just made sense. And since 2011, we've grown quite well.
So that's when you started it, 2011?
2011. So it's been around 6.5 years now. Traditionally, you work with companies which are far away in Eastern Europe, India, and all that. Having teams in Mexico eliminate a lot of those things. Now, nearshoring is time zone alignment primarily. So there are countries like Argentina and Costa Rica and Brazil. They also kind of qualified as nearshore, but they're not quite near. It takes a long time to go to Argentina.
It takes more travel and more planning.
Amazingly amount.
Yeah.
And when you work with teams outside of, let's say US, you need scale, you need talent, you need quantity and quality. Now, if you think about Mexico, it's a big country. It's 125 million people. They produce a lot of graduates, more engineering graduates than US actually. So having access to that pool of talent in a place nearby where you can actually scale your operations, it makes a lot of sense. And Mexico is uniquely qualified to be that partner.
Well, I think I went to one of your presentations, and you had some folks from there come here, and you talked about that, the number of graduates. Was it called Guadalajara University?
Guadalajara is one.
Was huge technology amount of people graduating in comparison to some of the other places. So how many employees do you guys have then, right now?
So right now we are over 150 employees.
Okay, and I'm going to pull up another slide too, because I think it has maybe the bigger picture. Yeah, so there's another picture of your employees, right? That's what this is.
And if you notice, you see slides which are not just from Mexico. So we have employees in Guadalajara from around the world actually.
Okay.
From India and Pakistan and Europe
and Canada too?
No, Canada not yet, but UK, France and Brazil and Argentina and Cuba. A lot of people from different places, all in Guadalajara.
All places I want to go to. Guadalajara, Cuba, I've been to Canada.
Costa Rica.
I think there's one more slide with employees, so let's bring the other one up. Now where is this office? Is this Austin?
This is our office? No, good question. This is actually an office in Guadalajara.
Okay.
You would think you are in Austin.
Okay.
The Class A facilities, really, really nice, comfortable, all Macs if you saw them. So the working environment, and Drew, you've been there, it's like you are in the Bay Area. So the teams have excellent working environments, and that's one of the reasons they have been able to work very effectively with the customers here.
So how many locations again? Austin?
So we have 5 locations.
Okay.
Our headquarters is in Austin. We have a base in the Bay Area. Drew is here. I have a small office in Chicago. My biggest delivery center is in Guadalajara, where I have around 140 people. We just opened a new one in a place called Aguas Calientes.
In Los Angeles or no?
Not yet. Not yet. But I'm opening an office in Cancun. So in case you want to come to the opening ceremony.
Let's pull up the next slide too, because I think the next 2 may have your location. There we go. So Austin, Silicon Valley, Guadalajara, and how do you say the last one?
It's Aguas Calientes.
Aguas Calientes.
So it's hot water.
Hot water.
Hot water. So we'll pull that down.
The reason we show this slide is you wouldn't know where this country, where the cities are. You can't tell me where Guadalajara is, the skyline of Guadalajara. It's like any other city you are aware of.
We can pull that down. I actually have a cousin who sold a house in Orange County, and they were going to travel the world, and they made it to Lake Chapala. and bought a 17-room villa that they fixed up, and there's a bunch of expats there, like 6,000. Right. So you go into Guadalajara.
So Lake Chapala has probably one of the largest communities of expats from U.S. and Canada.
6,000 or 7,000 people.
It's probably more than.
I'm actually on the Facebook group because she keeps trying to get me to come down. You need to come down. But yeah.
Go down together.
So so what you said the other location is that you're planning LA? Cancun, okay, which is another place I haven't been.
Well,
yeah, so soon. So yeah, technology. Is there a certain technology that's important to your organization? I don't know if you.
Sure.
You want
to.
Well, we are right now focusing on some of the modern frameworks that are in common use here in Silicon Valley. There's a lot of technical jargon around things like that. JavaScript, React, Angular, Mongo. We do a lot with .NET and SQL. But we really have, of the 150 plus folks in Guadalajara and Aguascalientes, a broad range of capabilities. They're really in several different groups. So we have a group that's dedicated, for example, in the Microsoft technologies. We have another group for Java technologies. We have another group for what we call mean stack. And then we have a very significant team of user experience designers and UI, user interface developers. So there's, I think, about a dozen folks who focus on just creating the designs for mobile experiences are number one, and then web usually goes along with that.
So I'm going to come back to that, and I think there's another slide that I missed, growth and nearshoring. What do you expect? Oh, let's see this. This is another one of your location.
Yeah, and the bottom one is the city of Guadalajara.
It's beautiful. You'll pull that down and then bring the next one up, which I believe is the growth question. So what do you expect growth to be in nearshoring? And I guess that's a big question right now. Here's the we're growing
we
slide. This is your growth pattern there.
At the end of 2010, beginning of 2011, we started. We've been growing consistently 20 to 30%. We are seeing, because of the digital transformation going on, we are seeing the speed, the velocity of development is increasing. And in order to do that, you need teams which can work closely with each other. If you have teams far away and here, it just slows things down. So we are seeing a lot of companies looking at nearshore options to scale their development, to scale their operations. We are seeing companies like Oracle and IBM moving to Mexico and opening up huge operating centers. We are seeing services companies from around the world, in India, from Ukraine, moving to Mexico to provide the level of services. So there's a lot of building, buying, and growing going on in nearshoring. So we expect to be doubling in size in the next 3 years.
Nice. What's been, I'm going to ask you the next two questions kind of quickly. What's been the biggest challenge for you and how you overcame it and how it helped you grow? And then the next one's the best accolade for you, the biggest win for your company or you personally. So what would that be?
We bootstrapped this. So the challenges, they changed as we grew. So when we were first starting out, getting customers was the biggest challenge. So we got some friends who took some chance on us. Then the money became a challenge as you started growing. So I had some friends who pitched in, invested in us. As we continued to grow, building the leadership team became a challenge. How do you build the leadership to scale the operation? So we invested a lot in leadership training. And then the competition creeps in. So now you're dealing with the competition. Right now, our challenge is to scale from where we are to become a $20, $25 million company. So scaling up is a challenge. And along the way, you deal with it based on the situation, based on the friends, based on customers, based on teams. It's an evolving process. It's a learning process. Now, this is my fifth startup. I actually wrote a presentation called "I Wish I Knew That," and that thing keeps growing. I wish I knew that.
Sounds like it may be a book.
It could be.
When you get that done, you come back on the show. And so, best accolades then too, I guess.
Well, you want to talk about the Fortune 5,000?
We have worked with a lot of interesting customers. So I'll give you a customer example.
And that was a question I think I skipped too. What's been the most interesting project you've worked on with your clients
There's one project, we were early on in our game, and McDonald's, we got an opportunity to work with McDonald's. As a small company, that makes like it's a big deal. So Ronald McDonald House of Charity, they wanted a mobile app, and it's a non-profit, so they don't have money and time is short.
So is it the Ronald McDonald House?
House of Charity,
Okay,
which is the non-profit part.
Yeah.
So we built a mobile app for them in a very short time frame, and along the way, the CEO of McDonald's goes to the Apple headquarters. And he comes back with this concept of design thinking, and he wanted to change everything around. So it was kind of interesting to deal with him and with the budget and the time frame, and the team came together, and the application was very successful. And so it wasn't a big project in terms of dollar amount, but it was a big thing for us to service a company like that.
And to work with a multi-billion
company in a way, so and having visibility right to the highest level. In terms of accolades, so we got awarded the Entrepreneur Company of the Year by the government of Mexico in 2014.
I think let's pull up a slide, because I think there is a slide for that too. Here we go.
So we actually got invited to Mexico City at the White House of Mexico. They call it Los Pinos. It was amazing experience going to Mexico City, going through the security, this pomp, this show, all the bands and all the stuff going on. So that is something which I still remember very vividly. And actually we are going to Oaxaca in 2 weeks, and another opportunity to get another award from the President of Mexico. We are in the finals. We don't know if we're going to make it or not. Yeah.
That's great. It's beautiful. I actually have an aunt who, after her first husband and her split, she went to Mexico and lived there for 6 months. And both my mother and her went to summer sessions in Stanford Art School. And they went to Mexico and spent summers there doing art. And I want to say it was Guadalajara, but I have to ask
San
her
Miguel?
Now. I'm not sure. It was all kinds of different, pottery and all kinds of different stuff they were doing. So I'll have to ask her about that. But
you should go there too.
But it's interesting. Yeah, I've only been to Cabo, so someday.
Mexico.
So is there anything that can I think the next slides are community slides, so we're going to pull that up. Is there something that the community can help you guys with? Do you need people to blog about it? Do you need people to write to the president right now and shake him up a little bit?
A couple of
things.
That down. So let me, and you've come to my favorite part.
Okay.
Because I've kind of become an advocate for not just the nearshoring, but this whole Mexico. I'm not from Mexico. You probably guessed. I'm from India.
No, really?
Yeah. I don't speak Spanish, but I've discovered a country. I discovered a group of people, which I'm surprised the level of awareness is so low where we are. I would like people to learn a little bit more about Mexico, our connections with them, and realize the opportunities which the two countries share with each other. A lot of people don't realize, but Mexico is our number 2 or number 1 trading partner, counting imports and exports. Every day, $1 billion of trade happens between US and Mexico.
Wow.
For Texas, which is where I'm from, Mexico is our largest trading partner. Millions of jobs depend upon it.
Right, so why would you want to put a wall up?
So when I see this rhetoric,
$1 billion crossing over back and forth.
When someone is trying to shut down the country to build that wall, I just don't get it. I don't get this rhetoric.
But I see a counter effect when the U.S. administration tightens the lid down tighter, then that gives the nearshore countries more reason to loosen things up a little bit. And as a result of that, we see a big influx of new opportunities, talent, resources flooding into our nearshore partners.
And so the visual I get, and I should have made a graphic for this, but as you're tightening one screw down, one's popping open. So you've got more opportunity, because it's like, wait, no, we're not going to deal with that screw tightening down. We're going to open it up even more.
Exactly.
So
I'm not even sure what screw we are trying to tighten. I think we should be building bridges, not walls.
Exactly.
So one of the other numbers I want to share with you is we have around 60 million people in US of Hispanic origin. The economy of that is almost $1 trillion. So we have actually Mexico within US, an economy as large as what we have in Mexico. Here is a country which is Canada and Mexico, they're true friends. A lot of interaction, a lot of dependency going on. We need to be fostering more trade. We should be fostering more travel. We should be fostering more cultural exchanges. The other thing which people don't realize is Mexico is kind of the gateway for American US products into Latin America. There's 600 million Spanish-speaking consumers sitting south of a border. And Mexico is our gateway into that market. We can actually increase our market and create even more jobs by leveraging a partnership with Mexico.
So we only have a few minutes left. I want to get to events. You guys had a great event with your company and another company. It was the projector thing with the phone. Excellent. Are you doing more events? And will those be posted on your website for people? Sure. Yeah.
So we did one event on nearshoring 2 months ago. We have temporary offices in the Capital Club. We are planning to have
and Los Gatos, yeah.
In San Jose.
Yeah.
So we're planning to have events there. We want to do more meetups, and we'd love to have partnership with you.
Well, we'll definitely have to look at something. We've got a couple like 2 minutes left. So is there anything that we didn't get to? Any final thoughts that you want to talk to the audience about as well?
The main thing, what I want to share with the companies here in the Bay Area, which are very high tech, is there are ways to scale, there are ways to get more done, and I think they should all be at least looking at nearshoring as an option to help take their funding and take their monies further. I'm surprised not many people know about it, and I hope this show helps us promote that message.
And I have a message too, which is about 2.5 years ago, I was offshoring, as I usually do, building technology companies, and I had used teams in India and in Russia for decades, and was having the typical problems, what we call the Delhi delay, working with teams at very odd hours and not getting the results. And a friend of mine at IBM had recommended to go to iTexico, which I did. They got it done. They got it done the first time. They get it done every time. They got it done so well that I ended up joining the company. And that's a testimony for me, because after being a serial entrepreneur for 30 years, I never knew that these resources were right here near us this whole time.
Well, thank you guys. I'm getting the wrap up. Thank you for coming on today. To the audience, thank you for following us on Twitter, Facebook, svtags.org. Thank you for the house flipping company that sponsored this show today. And make this a great tags week by conserving, reusing, and rethinking the way you choose to live here in Silicon Valley and beyond. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Heather.